Hi there. Today we're going to be discussing this question here, taken from the April 2019 paper. Okay, let's see and read the question and see what is happening. So, they are saying an investor holds a portfolio of shares and European derivatives as set out below. So you must look at this table very carefully. So you have got shares, you have got the call option, you've got the put option, you've got the unit held for each asset. Okay, so shares, call and put, and we've got the current price, and they give you the current price of shares to be $10, and they say AB for the call and put. Strike price, we are given the term and the volatility. Now they're saying we have been given a distribution of possible share prices at time t is equal to 2 in the spreadsheet. The risk-free rate is 4%. Now they say calculate using the information in the table above the price of the call option and the put option. Okay, so what am I going to have there? Oh gosh, I'm sorry. So when I come on my spreadsheet, this is what I am going to see. Okay, so you see here they're looking for the value of the call option and the value of the put option. Now I'm given the Black-Scholes calculator here, and that is what I'm going to use. So the current share price is 10. So I'm going to start with the call option. I'm going to start and calculate the price of the call option. And the strike price for the call option is 15. And the maturity time for the call option is 2. But don't be confused, you are given 5 here. Okay, you were given marks if you use 5 and if you use 2. I think it was a typo. Okay, I think it's a typo because here they say the term is 2, but in the spreadsheet they say the term is 5. So I'm going to use 2 since that is the value that was given in the question. So I'm going to use 2. And I'm going to use a risk-free rate of 4%, which is what the examiner gave me. And my volatility on the share is given to be 15%. Okay, and they are my answers. Now, I'm looking for the value of the call option. Now, let me see what this calculator is doing. Now, this calculator calculates the value of the put option, okay, and the value of the call option, okay. But now don't panic here because now you see 0 and go and write 0 here. No, it is not actually equal to 0 because if you show your examiner your calculations, you will see that it is not equal to 0 because for the call option, I'm going to show the examiner my calculations by coming here and copying my workings. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to come here and paste everything. Okay, so I'm going to paste formulas there. I've been explaining this. Now you see, if you go down and check out the value of the call option, it is not equal to 0. But this calculator here rounds off values, I think, to the nearest integer, if I'm not mistaken. So don't put 0. If you show the examiner your workings, you will see that it is not equal to 0. So I'm going to highlight this so that I won't get confused because I'm still going to perform calculations of the put option. Okay, and I'm going to press enter there. Okay, so I'm going to get 0.07 for the call option, and I'm going to go and calculate now the value of the put option using this calculator. I've got a share of 10, and the strike price for the put option is 8. So I'm going to go in my calculator and put that. And maturity is 2. The risk-free rate haven't changed, and the share, I've got a volatility of 15%. Okay, so I'm going to put that there, which is what I have. And you see also the value of the put option is 0. But if you actually show the examiner your workings, as I've been explaining in previous sessions, you will see that it is not equal to 0. So for the put option, this is what we have got. I'm going to come here and copy my workings and show the examiner my workings so that I can get all necessary marks. Okay, so I'm going to come here now and paste my workings. Okay. So you will see that the value of I'm going to highlight this so that I won't get confused which one is the put, which one is the call. And you will see that the value here is not equal to 0, but it is equal to 0.0624. So I'm going to put that value here. Okay, and there are my answers. So we have got the value of the call option and the value of the put option. Let's see what the next part of the question is asking us. Now, they say calculate the value of the investor's portfolio at time t is equal to 0. Now, at time t is equal to 0, we have got shares, we have got the call option, and we have got the put option, and we are given the units here. Okay, so what am I going to do there? So this is part 2 of the question. The value of the portfolio, I've got 1,000 units of shares, and the share price at time 0 is 10. And I've got 200 units of the call option, okay? And the price of the call option, it is what I calculated here. Okay, so I'm going to take that, but I need to change this 2 here to 1 because I extracted this value. I picked up this value in this tab here, tab 1. Okay, I'm going to close my bracket here, and we have got 1,000 put options. So, oh gosh, sorry. So what am I going to have there? I'm going to have 1,000 times the price of the put option at time 0. So what am I going to have there? It is this here. So I'm pasting it here, but I didn't. I need to change this here to 1 because I took this value. I picked up this value here. Okay, so I'm going to close my bracket and press equal to. So there is the value of your portfolio, 10,076. Okay, let's read the third part of the question. Now, the third part of the question says calculate for each portfolio, so they say calculate for each possible share price provided the value of the investor's portfolio. We're looking for the value of the investor's portfolio at time 2. Okay, let me go and see here what the examiner gave me. Now, this here is, I don't know if they were tricking you or something, but you see here you are given the value of the portfolio, but the value of your portfolio at time 2 will be made up of shares, the put option, and the call option. Now at time 2, the investor will get the payoff. Okay, so we need the payoff of the call option and the put option in order to calculate this value. So I'm going to first of all, I'm going to move this column here. Okay, I'm going to move it here. Okay, so I'm going to extend here, and I'm going to extend this, and I'm going to put the call option payoff, and here I'm going to put the put option payoff. Okay, now what is the at maturity? Okay, so what is the call option payoff? It is the maximum of the share price minus your strike price, which you are given for the call option to be 15. So I'm going to put that, or it will be 0. So it will pick the maximum. If the maximum is this, this formula will give you this value. If the maximum is 0, it will give 0. Okay. Then I'm going to press equal to, then I'm going to drag this down all the way to the share price of 20. And I'm going to do the same thing for the payoff of the put option. Now, if you remember, the payoff of the put option is the maximum of the strike price, which is 8, minus the share, or 0. Okay, I'm going to press equal to, and I'm going to drag this down. Okay, so now what will be the value of the portfolio? Now, for some reasons, you will see later why I am doing this. I'm going to write down my units here. So I've got stock, I've got the call option, and I've got the put option. Okay. Now for stock, I am given, okay, so the unit should be this side. I'm sorry. Let me remove them here. Hope we're doing well on time. Yes. So we've got 1,000 units under stock, and under call option we have got 2,000. We've got 200, and under the call option we have got 1,000. Okay. So the put option we have got 1,000. Okay, so what will be my value? So my value will be made up of shares, the payoff, so at time 2 at maturity. Okay, so the payoff of the call option and the put option and the payoff of the put option. So what am I going to have? For these possible share prices, I'm going to have 1,000, or in fact, I'm going to have this multiplied by the share price. Now I want to log this 1,000, so I'm going to use the $ sign, and there I'm going to add the number of units under the call option. Now I want to log that, so I'm going to put $, and I'm going to multiply this by the payoff of the call option, which is here. And there I'm going to add the unit under the put option. I want to log this value going down. Okay. And I'm going to multiply this by the payoff of the put option. Okay, so this is your value. Okay, and I'm going to drag this down. Okay, and these are my values. Now, so this is the value of your portfolio for each share price, for each possible value of the share price at time t is equal to 2. Now, just to discuss the $ thingy, you didn't have to put $2 here. Okay, you can see that I want to lock up. Okay, I want to lock this value, this value, this value going down, And going down here, I see that I have my numbers. So I'm going to put the dollar next to the number and see if I'm getting the same values. Okay, so I'm going to put the dollar okay, and I'm going to drag this down. So right now I've got 2400, and you can see the values are the same. Why? Because by putting a dollar here, okay, so let me go, gosh. So by putting a dollar just next to this number, you are locking the values going down, okay? But if you put the dollar just next to this letter, you are locking your value going across. Okay. Now, if you put a dollar, it means we are locking your value going across and going down. So I wanted to make sure that everybody understands that. Okay, so this is the value of the portfolio at maturity. So it made up of the share price at maturity, the payoff of the call option at maturity, and the payoff of the put option at maturity. Okay, so I've answered the question. Nice 4 marks. Now they're saying the investor needs at least $15,000 at time t is equal to 2 to repay a loan. Now they are saying calculate the probability that the investor will be able to repay the loan. Okay, now if I go to part IV, I see here the probability can repay the loan space here given. I'm going to move this space because before I get to this probability, I need to perform some calculations. So I'm going to move this to here. Okay. Now I'm going to use my previous tab to perform this calculation. So I'm going to come here and copy everything. I'm going to come here and copy everything. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come here and paste everything. Now I go to paste special and I paste formulas, okay, because I need that in order to perform this calculation. So I'm going to press OK, and there my workings laid out nicely, and I can see my formulas are still working properly. Now they want the probability that the probability that the investor will be able to repay the loan. Now the loan, we need at least 15,000 at time to at maturity, okay, to repay the loan. And if you look here, these are your Excel, okay, so these are your values at maturity. Okay, these are your values at maturity. So how are we going to get this probability? Now these values here corresponds to the probabilities given in this question here, because if you remember, you had your share price here, and you are given the distribution of the share prices. So I'm going to use that in order to calculate this probability here. I need the column for probability. Now, please don't get confused here, because I read the exam report. Now, this here is like a random variable. If you think about it, it's like a random variable, because we have got your share price under this formula, and the share prices have a probability distribution, and that is the probability distribution I am going to use. don't get confused. I know this is a little bit confusing. I've got a share price here under my formula, and I'm giving the distribution of the share price, which means the distribution that this whole thing, this value of the portfolio will follow, will be that similar to the, will be that of the given in the share price, because I've got my share price here, which is my random variable. Okay, so I need those probabilities. So I'm going to go to data, and I'm going to copy my probabilities. Okay, I'm going to copy this whole thing. Then I'm going to come here and paste. Now, no formulas were used to calculate those probabilities, so I'm going to paste the values. Okay, and there they are. Now I want the probability that my value at the end, at maturity, is greater than or equal to 15,000, because that's what this statement is actually saying. Okay, so what am I going to have there? Now, do you agree with me that this is quite easy? So the probability, I'm going to call this probability star. You'll see now why I'm doing that. Now, if you look here, I want the, okay, I'm interested in the probabilities where the value of this portfolio is greater than or equal to 15,000. Okay, so now, okay, so I'm going to use here an if function. I'm going to say this is equal to, and I'm going to say if this here, if this column here, which is the value of the portfolio, is greater than or equal to 15,000, please return this column here, which is the probability. Okay, otherwise, if that is not the case, please return 0. Okay, then I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to drag my formula down. Okay, so as you can see here, this is where my portfolio starts being greater than 15,000 with this probability going down. So in actual fact, the probability the examiner is looking for, which they gave me a space, I'm going to take this here, I'm going to extend it. So in actual fact, the probability the examiner is looking for will just be the sum of these probabilities here, because all these here have a value greater than $15,000. Okay. And I'm going to close my bracket. So I see there my probability is 0.11985. Okay. Now let's look at the part V of the question. Let me check time. We are still doing good on time. Now they are saying calculate the expected shortfall relative to the loan repayment. Now, if you remember the formula for the shortfall, okay, let me come here. Now I'm going to move this here. I'm going to move this, okay, because I need my workings. I need to show the examiner my workings. Okay, I'm going to come here I'm going to come here and copy everything and paste here so that I can work. So I'm going to paste formulas because I need that. I don't want that to change. So I'm going to paste OK there. And you can see I am ready to go. You can see all your formulas. Let me check if my formulas are properly written correctly. Okay, everything is still fine. Now, so I'm going to move this here so that I can add another column. I hope you are learning here the techniques that I'm using here. Okay, and I'm going to calculate the shortfall here. Now, if you remember from your note, the expected shortfall was given by the sum of L, which is your, so was given by the sum of L being your benchmark. So L being the loan repayment. So they're saying the expected shortfall relative to the loan repayment. So your L will be 15. So if you remember from your note, I'm just reminding here I'm reminding you here the formula. I'm not performing the calculation. So it is L minus X under the discrete case times the probability that X is equal to X. And we do this summation for values of X less than. Okay, now if you remember from your note, it's not less than or equal to. Okay, it is less than the benchmark L, which is 15, which is 15,000. So what will be my shortfall here? So my shortfall will be my benchmark L, which is the loan repayment. So I'm going to have 15,000 minus, now my X here is the loan value, okay? Now this is the expected values. Remember, I need to multiply this. So this is the expected shortfall. Okay, so I'm not just calculating the shortfall here. Let me change this to the expected shortfall. So I need to multiply this by the associated probability. Okay, so this will be the expected shortfall for each possible value of your portfolio. Okay, now I need this for values less than 15,000. So I'm going to drag this down. Now dragging this down, you can see that at this point here, we have 15,000. I must not include this 15,000 because this is the values of X less than 15,000. So I won't include this. Okay. Now, do you agree with me that the expected shortfall will just be the sum of these values here? So I'm going to say this here is equal to the sum of this whole thing here. I'm going to close my bracket, then I'm going to press enter. And you see my expected shortfall, it is 2962. Okay, so I hope obviously this whole thing relies on whether you understand what is happening in your paper A or you don't. Because if your theory is poor, you won't be able to perform calculations here. Okay. Please remember, make sure your theory is polished, one which you will be doing in paper A. And I have a full exam revision on that. So please make sure you attend that in order to not struggle with these calculations. Okay, so let us look at part VI of the question. Now they're saying the investor wishes to maximize the probability of being able to repay the loan. She wishes to retain the same holding in shares and is therefore considering changing only her holdings of options. Now short selling is allowed. Okay, now they say derive a portfolio. Now short selling is allowed, which means we are allowed to hold a negative unit. That's what they mean by short selling is allowed. So negative values, negative unit are allowed. So they're saying derive a portfolio that will maximize the probability that the investor can repay the loan. Now, you'll remember we came across a similar question when we were doing an Excel question based. Remember when we were doing option pricing and utility theory in Excel, we came across a similar question. And I remember I said to you, I won't do that question because there's a trick there which I show people that that attend my exam revision, and I don't want this trick to be seen by everybody. Not that I don't want this trick to be seen by everybody, but I think it is a special trick and it will make your life easy. And I believe that special people deserve to know about that. Obviously, if you bought my exams revision with Gabriel, you are definitely special. Okay, so unfortunately, I won't do this question here because this video here will be up on YouTube. Okay, but if you want to see the solution to this question and the technique we use without guessing values, so without guessing any values, because I know that most people guess, which I think is not good when you are under time pressure. Please go to my exams revision with Gabriel, go to my online platform. I do explain how to maximize and minimize values in Excel. So unfortunately, I won't do this question here now, but I took these values from the exam report. Now, one thing I can tell you is that you don't have to, you don't need to get the exact values of your, you don't need to get the exact values that will maximize the probability of an investor repaying the loan. As long as if you use these units here, they give you this here, this value of the portfolio, and you maximize the probability using the technique I'm going to show you, then you will be fine. Okay, let's look at the last part of the question. And I'm very sorry, unfortunately I won't do this question here. Okay, now they're saying an investor is now considering changing her holdings in shares in order to maximize the probability that she will be able to repay the loan. Now they're saying using only the three assets above, suggest how the investor could maximize the chances of being able to pay the loan. And they say discuss risk involved with your suggestion. Okay, and that is an explain part, and any sensible reasons will be given marks. Okay, and here are the reasons and the risk, okay, shown here. Obviously, I won't go in details here because I didn't do this question here. You will see if you do this question here, it becomes easy to explain what is happening, but here is the answer. Anyhow, it was great being with you. I think that is all. I did my best to explain what is happening here. I wish you all the best with your exam preparation. Bye-bye.